'Cause I'm delusional. This next look that I am doing is gonna be the pink petticoat. In the pictures, you can see that it is a circle skirt and it has little seams in it that show that it is in 3 different parts, just like this, except a little bit more flowy. They'd be pleated into each other. And I'll want each row to be bigger than the one above it, and I want it to be 38 inches long. I ended up adding another yard to both the first layer and the second layer. This made it easier to form the side plackets and gave the garment some necessary flow. The first layer is 2 yards, the second is 3. 4 yards here. I'm gonna have the waist be cinched by buttons, and so there will be an open seam right here on both sides, and then it's gonna have 2 buttons on the side. I might even just go ahead and add in some pockets for the sake of no reason except desire. I'm gonna have all 3 of them be 14 inches long, just so that there's 2 inches of seam allowance on each one, because I'll be sewing them on 2 sides. I'm gonna have it be 30 around on the waist, which I'm gonna split into 2 parts. That way they can have the seams in the middle, and then I'll add some seam allowance as well. So one side is 17 and the back side will be 17 as well, just for the waist, and then the rest of it will be by the yards. And lengthwise, it'll be 14. 6 inches long for the seam allowance. I'm just like adding an inch for each seam, and it worked well in my last project, and so I'm hoping it works well in this one as well. If you were to say, Leela, those are Christmas pajamas, you'd be right. I'm wearing Christmas pajamas, and I'm not ashamed of it. I think they're extremely comfortable, and they come with a matching shirt that says, "Meet me underneath the mistletoe." I've never met anyone underneath the mistletoe, but when I do, I'm prepared with Christmas pajamas. Time for the petticoat.
Christine's petticoat appears to be made out of organza. I am going with cotton muslin, as the lightweight cotton is historically accurate. I am, however, still going to dye it pink so that it looks like Christine's, even though that is not historically accurate. During the 1870s, petticoats were used to shape the skirts, sometimes over crinolines or bustles, depending on fashion. The narrow waistband would usually be paired with a drawstring or buttons for easy adjusting. I've chosen buttons. It's a simple construction, but the pleats will do the heavy lifting for the silhouette.
This is one of the waistbands. I am just pinning the ends, and then I pinned the middle, and then I'm gonna pleat them until I am satisfied with how they are pleating on both sides, and I'll continue that with the other yards of fabric. These are my very beautiful pleats. She has claimed the other waistline. I have the waistband, I'm gonna fold it over, but I have it all pinned right there, and then I have the other side done as well, all pinned on this side, and I even pinned up the second row, so I have the 2 rows done, at least pinned so far, and I'll do a little closer of a shot with the pinning, that way you can see how I did it.
Since I added another yard for both rows, I sewed the ends of them together before I sewed down the pleats. I also hemmed the side plackets. Historically, pocket hoops or pocket bags would have been tied underneath the petticoat. I made the waistband twice the length I needed it to be. That way I could just fold it over to make the inside seam a little more easier on the skin instead of being rubbed on by the seam of a pleat. I liked how the first waistband turned out, but I unfortunately made it smaller than I wanted. So I added a few inches to the front waistline so that the size can be adjustable.
That one was bad. My hand shakes so much now. Okay, look at those beautiful pins. Beautiful. They're the same size on both sides. They're even. And I think that'll fit as well. I did it just like that. I just sewed the sides. Now I'm tucking it through. Handy dandy scissors. My handy dandy scissors. Oh, how I love my scissors. Beautiful. Plenty of space. Okay, time for the beautiful buttons. Using these pretty brown ones, wooden ones. Ow, stabbed myself.
I added 3 buttonholes on each side.
I am now gonna do the rest of the pleats. It's the same day as before, just with a stronger migraine. So I'm only gonna do a time lapse of it, and it's gonna be in only the normal daylighting, so it'll be a little bit fickle. What I am doing is I am pinning them together, and then I'm just gonna go ahead and hold them in between my arms and see where the middle is. It was easier with the other ones because they were not as long as this one. So I found the middle of the 4 yards, so it would have been 2 yards worth, and I pinned it down just like this. A plain basic pin. And then I am gonna find the middle. For this other one, it'll be about 1 yard length. Okay, there's the middle for that side. And the middle here. So it's not actually the middle, it's just the middle between the different sides. And then doing the same thing here, finding the middle. This is where it gets a little bit easier, is when you can literally just pull them like this and have the middles, and then you can just keep your fingers there and pin it. And that will pretty much be the rest of the petticoat.
I pleated a total of 9 yards. It was extremely long, but I honestly enjoyed it. It was a task that seemed never-ending, but it was repetitive enough that I got the hang of it, and since the measurements kept getting smaller, it spiced things up a little bit. Who doesn't love a spicy petticoat?
Now what I am doing is I'm just taking the curve part and flopping it over, and then I'm gonna take this pin and pin it back on. Okay, tried not to stab myself like I just did, and then pin down the pleat like that. They're all going to the right on my petticoat, so I'm just gonna flop them all over to the right, like that one, and do it again with this one. And so on and so forth for 4 yards. I love it. I complain, but I love it.
I did these 4 yards while watching the second Harry Potter movie. It was very enjoyable, and with having a terrible migraine, doing the pleats with my hands kept my eyes off the screen, allowing me to enjoy it without causing a flare-up. I finished the pleats. I stitched on the buttons, and tomorrow I will stitch the pleats on and hem the bottom of it, and then dye the garment. There it is. I should add little loops on the side right here. That way this can be situated into one spot. And I'm gonna add the pockets to be like this long. I'm gonna kill him. Did I just pin my shirt? I totally just pinned my shirt to it. Put a pin where I need the strap to stabilize it. Strap right here. Guess it's called just a loop. Making sure I get every possible detail of the skirt done before I dye it. That way I'm not having to dye things after the fact. I keep on thinking like, oh, I can do that after I dye it. No, I really can't do that after I dye it because then I'm gonna have to dye that own special thing individually and I can't. I dislike. She's so scared. She's my little scaredy cat. Here, sit on my lap. You wanna hide under my shirt too? There you go. I just kind of slapped the pockets onto the garment because, yes, I want to make this as historically accurate as possible. And I would also like it to be a functional garment for me. So I did not make pocket bags. I'm just stitching it down on the top and the bottom. That way there isn't any strain on the fabric and the strings that are stitched. Okay, this is the last thing before I have to dye it. I just pinned the hem up 2 inches and now I'm sewing it. I like it. The hem looks great. I think it's perfect. Now all I have to do is dye it, which is gonna work out because I'm gonna follow the directions. The buttons work, the latches for the buttons work, the pockets work. Hello, dish detergent. Put in a dollop of detergent and it said to add a cup of salt. So I feel like that's a lot of salt. That's a lot of salt. I only have a little bit in. That's like almost half of this whole thing. I don't have it in me to use a whole cup. I'm gonna half it. It's only right there. That's not even half. Now, time to watch water boil. The meat therm. It says, I'm sorry. You can be off. It says to have the piece already wet. Let me get it wet. My brain's going too fast and too slow at the same time. Hello.
Hello.
I'm trying to dye. I just kept adding more and more of this dye until I got the desired color. So there was no measurement for the dye or the water. I ended up having to add more dye after putting the garment in the pink bath because I did not calculate the water that was already absorbed into the petticoat. The dye on the fabric appears darker when applied, and after you wash and dry the garment, it fades a little bit. Remember to wash your washing machine after you take the newly dyed clothing out. I let the fabric sit in the pink bath for 30 minutes. This is what the test strand looks like. It's working!
It's working!
This is the skirt. It's so pretty, and it's so comfortable, and it's long enough, and it's flowy. Pockets, adjustable buttons. Dyeing it was surprisingly easy when you follow the directions. Sewing it was quite nice, honestly. Pleating it took forever, but I am happy with the results, so I very much would take the time to pleat it again if I were to do this again. Take the time to pleat it and do it properly because I love how the pleats went. They're just so cute. They're perfect. I think the pleats are perfect. I am glad that I moved the seams around. It's like there you got where I added another yard on the second row. There's the seam. The seams on the top row are on the sides, and this seam where I sewn it together right there. I'm glad that I put them in different spots as opposed to just having one long seam. I like that they're in different spots. I didn't plan for the pockets. I know it looked like I planned for it because I drew them on the drawing, but in my mind, I didn't actually have a plan for it. And I think that because I didn't have an official plan for it, I did forget about my plan for it. And so I had to rush and quickly put in pockets. I think if I had planned for them from the start, they would be nice pockets, and I just kind of slapped them on there. That's it. That's it. Another project that is making my head bigger because I feel like I can handle anything. You guys aren't ready for the next project. It is above and beyond because I am at such a high level of delusion that I think I can do anything. And so I am gonna do it. I am gonna do it. I have not only just the delusion, but the determination to do it. I think that's where I am walking a very dangerous line. The triple D, delusion, dedication. Did I use dedication? And danger. I don't remember what word I used. Delusion, determination, that was the word. Delusion, determination, and danger. The triple D. I'm really happy with it. I'm glad I put buttons on it. And I'm glad I put buttonholes on it specifically. And the little latches on the back as well. I thought that was a great touch. And I very much like it as opposed to just having it stick out, which wouldn't have been bad, but I had the resources and I had the tools and the time. But I'm very glad. I am very proud of it. I think this was a successful run, project. I don't know what word I'm looking for. Success was achieved. Anyways, bye. Awkward. Okay, bye.